Hello, welcome back to the True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
How's everybody doing? You ready for a serial killer that was working in the early 90s and has just recently been captured? This is breaking news here.
Right. Did you find this looking for some 5-minute murder topics?
No.
Oh, okay. Because this is typically the kind of stuff you cover on 5-minute murder, but there's a little more to this one.
Yeah, this one was helped along and broken by DNA, but no genealogy on this one, which is kind of my specialty on 5-minute murder.
True.
Always using genealogy, but yeah.
Yeah, the genealogy stuff, man, it's interesting how many cases.
This one was good old CODIS. Good old CODIS.
Oh, okay. Right on.
But this bastard got away with killing multiple women for 30 years before finally CODIS connecting his DNA to the victims. But we'll get to all that in a bit. But
yes.
Also, interesting moniker, the package killer.
Uh-huh. It really is. Yeah, it really is. Like, I guess he put people in packages, or they found them in packages.
Kinda. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird nickname. I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's intriguing. It's intriguing. It makes you click.
And I'm like, okay, I kind of see how you got that moniker. But then
it also makes you think of like the Unabomber. Like, is he like bombing people with packages? That's what initially what I think when I hear that.
Yes. Yeah.
Not even close to that.
Or he's just going on people's steps and he's not stealing their Amazon packages. He's just destroying them. Right? That'd be like something. Yeah, that'd be something for like, excuse me, that's illegal. That's like some softcore crime. Yeah.
That's
package.
That's interesting.
You're just an asshole. You just go and start destroying people's stuff.
Yeah. Because they got those porch pirates, right? But what if you were just
you're just an asshole.
Porch barbarian. You just run up and just smash it with a sledgehammer.
You're a porch Viking. You just go and destroy shit.
Yes, exactly.
Keep on and just sail away.
Yeah. Well, let's get into this thing, man. We got a lot to cover in this one.
Indeed.
But yeah, just recently solved in 2022, thanks to DNA yet again. But
right.
Let's dive into it.
After more than 30 years, a serial murder cold case with St. Louis ties appears to have been solved.
His hunting ground was an area once known as the Cherokee Street Stroll.
It's a decades-old unsolved cold case. Police say 73-year-old Gary Muhlberg is behind at least 5 St. Louis murders that happened more than 30 years ago.
Did he have any explanation?
No, he said he had a great family and a great upbringing.
These particular cases were quite gruesome and heinous.
I want people to realize that these girls were daughters and sisters and mothers, and they were more than just girls that were out street walking.
Police say that the women disappeared in 1990 and 1991 along the South Side Stroll, a part of Cherokee Street known for prostitution and drug dealing.
Justice is coming.
Yes, it is.
Finally.
The way he disposed of his victims, according to that information, connected these two and other murders.
He says that he disposed of the young lady in a metal barrel, and he left her body in a self-serve car wash.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. It has totally traumatized me.
I have to forgive him. I pray for him, and may God have mercy on his soul.
All right, for this week's case, we're doing the package killer out of St. Louis, Missouri. The package killer is a name attributed to the American serial killer who murdered between 3 and 5 women in the St. Louis area from 1990 to 1991. His pseudonym comes from the ways that he discarded of the bodies conspicuously in quote-unquote packages between a pair of mattresses, in a large trash bin, in a plywood box, all along major highways so they could be easily found. So he basically put them in some sort of confinement on the side of the highway, wanting them to be found, like a package.
Like we said earlier, yeah, I guess. But like we said earlier, I don't know. Package was. I think they were kind of reaching for a nickname here. They needed something, and it's like 2 mattresses, not really a package, in my opinion.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I've never seen anything get delivered that way between maybe some drugs.
Maybe, sent over across the country and whatnot. Yeah.
But for more than 3 decades, the package killer remained the city's most notorious serial murderer to elude justice until it was just recently solved this year in 2022.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So let's get into the discovery of these victims' bodies piling up. On March 22nd, 1990, 19-year-old Robin Meehan was reported missing. She had been seen on the South Side Stroll of St. Louis, Missouri's then red light district. So this was a stretch of road and kind of downtown St. Louis that was known for, sex workers.
Sex work.
Yeah.
Right.
Drug activity, things along those lines. And this is where this killer was targeting his victims, was on this Southside Stroll.
Very much like Gary Ridgway, Green River Killer type deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Meehan, already a mother of 2 at 18 years old, had established a call girl phone line with her friend as a way to make money via sex work while avoiding walking the street. So she was trying to stay off the street, stay off the Southside Stroll by working, working as a call girl over the phone. However, on this night, the escort service phone sat silent, and Meehan, in the grips of a severe crack addiction, was desperate enough for money to hit the streets yet again. And unfortunately, that was the last time she was seen alive. 4 days later, on March 26th, her body was discovered alongside a highway stuffed between 2 mattresses in Silex, Missouri, which is quite a ways away from the Southside Stroll. Silex, way north, like northwest, I believe, of downtown St. Louis. So this person took her quite a ways away.
But pretty typical MO, though, for a serial killer. They do a lot of driving. We know this. So if he's working in this area, if this is where he's hunting, he's not going to be placing the bodies there as well.
Right.
Because he's going to want to frequent this place. Very
true. Yeah, right. You don't shit where you eat, I guess. If it's, I don't know, kind of not the best way of putting it, but yeah.
Yeah.
An autopsy would show that she had been strangled and her hands were bound together. A former boyfriend of hers named Corky was shown photos of her corpse taken by the medical examiner, and the photos showed the torture that would still haunt him 30 years later. He said, quote, "Whoever did that to Robin deserves to be sent to hell the same way he sent Robin to heaven."
Yeah. So I'm sure they were. Did you find any of these pictures? I wasn't able to find any early crime scene photos. Not that I just didn't see any during my research.
I didn't either. But yeah, I mean, you get the picture from reading it. I don't know if I need to see it. I've seen enough horrific stuff.
I know, right?
I can picture it already. I don't need to see it. Yeah. It already pops in my head.
Right.
Then 3 months later, on June 11th, 1990, the body of 40-year-old Donna Rittmeyer was found inside of a rubber trash bin near South Broadway. Her body was so badly decomposed that the cause of death remains unknown, but signs of violence were located. So there was clear signs probably around the neck and things like that.
I was about to say,
it's common MO for
ligature marks.
Yeah. Then 4 months after that, on October 4th, 1990, the body of a woman was found inside of a plastic trash can along the roadside near Interstate 270 by a jogger who had noticed a foul odor coming from this trash can. Got to be real bad odor for you to check out a trash can, right? Because they already stink as it is.
I know, right?
How many trash cans already had like rotten meat in them to begin with? Some old chicken that someone threw out or whatever.
Oh, God. I know.
It's got to be real bad for me to go investigate.
Those joggers, man, they're so curious.
If it weren't for joggers, man, I don't think any bodies would ever get found, really.
We would never find any. No.
Joggers, hikers, campers.
Right.
Those
They're
outdoors
the only ones
people.
that find bodies.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for it to be my turn because I've done a lot of that in my time. Not so much jogging, but hiking, camping, exploring.
Yeah. You're bound to find
hunting.
something, statistically.
Yeah. Right. Eventually. You'll be the first to know on this show.
Okay. Great. Right on. We'll just share the story on the show and not even call the cops.
Right.
Right.
So we'll just send them the download, or send them the.
There we go.
Send them the audio file.
Check this out. About 13 minutes in, we start talking about it.
Right. Hashtag keep creeping. So the woman remained unidentified for months until police were able to confirm that the woman was 27-year-old Brenda Jean Pruitt, whose family had reported her missing back on May 9th. And these women all had the common lifestyle in that they were sex workers and they were on the Southside Stroll. Like I said, the killer was targeting girls working this area.
Right.
Then on February 17th, 1991, the body of a woman was found stuffed into a wooden box along the I-70. The victim was found to have been wearing a stocking cap, and authorities released the type of cap in hopes to identify the body, which later worked in that she was identified as 21-year-old Sandy Little, who had been missing since September 4th, 1990. So it took quite a while for her body to be found, being abducted in September and then not found till February the following year.
Right.
And like the other victims, she was known to frequent the Southside Stroll, working in the sex trade. Something unfortunate, she had a boyfriend that looked after her and usually would be on the Southside Stroll with her when she was working at night. So, however, he was locked up for, I think, an overnight stay in jail when she was abducted.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. All of these women...
I know, he carries that guilt.
All of these women would be found with ligatures around their neck and their faces covered. In addition to the victims all being tied, they were tied with similar Connex cable and other physical evidence connected the murders of Pruitt, Meehan, and Little. The 3 women had hair of the same type of dog on the clothes that they were found in, meaning they were likely held in close proximity to the same animal. So it leads you to believe that this person was taking them to maybe their home, some location where he was keeping them long enough for his animal's hair to get on them.
Right. That dog hair, man, it gets everywhere. If you're a serial killer, you got to be careful what kind of dog breed you have.
For sure. Right? For sure. Yeah, I'd probably have like a hairless cat if I were a serial killer. But
yeah, one of those hairless chihuahuas just shaking in the corner.
Yeah. It just adds to the horror, too.
Here's some advice. Don't have a German Shepherd if you're a serial killer. Their hair is literally everywhere.
If I'm being held captive, it just makes it that much worse that there's like a hairless chihuahua running around, just a hideous animal.
Just like, annoying the shit out of you.
Of course, that would be the best friend of a serial killer, a hairless fucking chihuahua.
And chihuahuas have the worst attitude, too, and it's ugly because it's hairless. Yeah. God.
So police at this point knew that there was a serial killer out there that was targeting sex workers, and they began to work with other agencies. After February of 1991, the captain of this investigation said the St. Louis Major Case Squad came to an agreement with federal law enforcement, and that the next time that the package killer struck, the local police would seal off the scene so that investigators from the FBI could fly in from Quantico and process all of the evidence. So now they're getting the FBI involved. However,
unfortunately,
the package killer must have sensed all of this heat and knew that the time to change the MO was up. And it's not all that uncommon. I think it's a common thought that killers they keep the same MO forever. Not the case at times when they sense that they're close to being caught. If they're not wanting to be caught, some of them do want to be caught. We've seen that, and then they don't change their MO. But
and you know, you got to think this is early 90s. Most people are still watching daytime TV. They're watching the news every night.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people are seeing the same information.
Yeah.
You know,
and also
now,
1991, now the killers are more made aware of DNA. We're into that era, and they're very aware of the concept of a serial killer, which a lot of the people we've covered, the serial killers we've covered in the 70s, they weren't even aware that there was a term serial killer yet. They didn't know what they were. They were just someone who liked to kill people.
That's right.
Yeah, like this killer is aware that law enforcement is aware of a serial killer and how to catch them at this point.
That's exactly.
So he changes his MO at this point. We later come to find out. The police at the time just thought that this killer just stopped killing, and that was that. And they thought that for like 30 years.
Yeah, but we know better than that.
Yeah. So
investigators... They've killed 3 or 4 times. They can't help it at this point.
Yeah. Investigators assumed that because the dead women stopped showing up in containers along highways, the package killer must have stopped taking lives. Of course, they were wrong. This killer simply changed his MO due to all of the pressure. And on May 12th, 1991, the body of 37-year-old Sandra Kane was found along roadside Interstate 44. And an autopsy wasn't able to confirm the cause of death, but narrowed it down that she had either been hit by a car or thrown off an overpass. And they did not connect this victim to, this serial killer, the package killer, quote unquote.
Right.
Kane had also worked as a sex worker and knew prior victim, Sandy Little. Sandy had even warned Sandra Kane not to go with a man in a station wagon. And so...
Oh, no.
Yeah, kind of a creepy foreshadowing moment. But even though she worked in the same trade and had known one of the prior victims, the police did not connect this victim to the package killer.
Well, it's just like what we've seen with all these cases in the past. If you target the right people, police are a little less motivated. I mean, yes, she may have known the previous victim, but she was also a sex worker who worked in this red light district who... They probably weren't real focused on solving her murder,
no,
especially
like,
since
this
the MO didn't match
leads
up.
to tragedy more often than not, is what they were thinking. Is she either got hit by a car or something like that, or committed suicide, or who knows?
Or got thrown from a vehicle, maybe in a disagreement. Maybe the guy didn't want to pay her. Maybe throws her from a vehicle, whatever. But yeah, the fact that the MO didn't match up too. She wasn't found in any type of package. She wasn't found in any type of trash can or receptacle or nothing like that. So, they assumed it was someone else.
Yep.
Just another random killing.
To their credit, St. Louis police, along with other law enforcement agencies, they definitely tried to catch this killer. Throughout the 1990s, detectives continued working this case, investigating more than 450 leads over 3 years. But the real package killer was never on their radar.
That's hard to believe.
Quote, more than 50 investigators worked on these cases back in the day, and not one linked anything to this actual killer.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Did they know about the station wagon, or was this like way hindsight? You know what I mean? Did this shit come out later?
Yeah. I think it was way later.
Frustrating. But we also know that this killer was prone to steal vehicles as well.
Yeah.
So he could have had different vehicles. That was no big deal for him to pick up a different car. And in the 90s, I mean, breaking into a vehicle, come on. Most of the vehicles on the road were still probably 70s, 80s models.
Yeah, I believe part of what he was doing during the time he was killing, I think he was buying and selling used vehicles, right?
Oh.
And as we mentioned, he later gets locked up for killing a guy that he was trying to sell a stolen vehicle to.
Yes.
So like you said, probably changing vehicles constantly during the time that he's abducting these women.
Absolutely.
So police, these bodies stop popping up in the same manner. The package killer has apparently ceased to continue what he's doing. And in 1995, a series of similar murders occurred in St. Petersburg, Florida, and St. Louis detectives were intrigued enough to travel there and investigate. They had no idea that the package killer had already been sentenced to life in prison earlier that year in 1993 in a case that did not involve packages, sex workers, or even a woman. So let's jump forward a couple decades to April of this year, 2022. Jody Weber, a 22-year-old veteran detective with the O'Fallon Police Department in Missouri, had been interested in the package killer cold case since 2008.
Hold on one second. You said she was 22 years old. She's actually a 22-year veteran.
Oh, did I say she was 22?
Yeah.
Man, she's basically been doing it since she was born, huh?
I know, right? I was like, damn, she's veteran, 22?
22 years on the force.
Yeah, there you go.
Just slapped a badge on her when she came out.
We can tell. Sometimes we can just tell. She's going to be a good one.
Sorry for that. So a 22-year veteran of the O'Fallon Police Department, Jody Weber, clearly not 22 years old.
Right.
She had been obsessed with the package killer case, which was now cold. She became obsessed with it in 2008. And she said that it became her passion. For 14 years, she worked on it by herself, poring over the old reports and re-interviewing key people. Most of all, she was waiting for technology to advance to the point where the remaining pieces of physical evidence from 1990 could be tested for DNA. So they probably had to wait until the DNA testing could be used for tiny traces of DNA that were still, on these articles of clothing.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, it's intriguing to me that a lot of these cases get solved just because one or two people on the force just can't let it go.
Yep.
Or maybe they just become obsessed with it. Maybe they remember the case from when they were younger or something like that. Yep. They get on the force, and then just the fact that they can't let it go is what solves these cases.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, whatever. It's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The guy's probably
did everything
dead.
we could. You're never going to solve it. We've already looked at all that same stuff. You're wasting your time.
Right, but it only takes one person that's just hard-headed enough.
Yeah.
Especially with technology that we have today.
Yep.
Yeah.
So her meticulous investigation crawled along for more than a decade. Then in summer, a major breakthrough came. The lab said, "We got a hit. We don't know who it is, but we got a hit."
Nice.
And so it wasn't long until Weber had a name to match the DNA that they had on, in storage all these years. And the name that came back through CODIS was Gary Muehlberg. Detectives had no idea who the hell this guy was. Like we said, he was never on their radar. They described boxes upon boxes of reports, evidence, and other material associated with the case, all of it stored in the Maryland Heights police station that Weber went through all again. But Muehlberg's name was nowhere in the countless pages of interviews and witness statements. So they were wasting their time all along interviewing all of these countless people that never even had an inkling that this guy was part of it.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is.
And he was a career criminal. It's not like this guy was just like Mr. Perfect. We've seen some of those serial killers where they have, they're an IT guy by day and they got a family at home and you would never suspect. Now, this guy was like a scumbag. Everyone thought he was a creep.
Yeah, everybody knew that.
Everybody was like, this guy's probably a serial killer.
Yeah, only came out at night, used first name basis. Yeah, hung out in seedy areas, always switching cars.
Yep.
Yeah, come on.
Turns out he killed another guy in 93 and was locked up for life because of that.
Oh, jeez.
So Maryland Heights Police Chief Bill Larson acknowledges that Muehlberg was not on the radar before that. Quote, "It wasn't until the DNA match came back. Then we started looking at this guy and all the pieces started falling into place." Gary, who's now 73, was already in prison serving a life sentence for killing a man in 1993. So let's go into this guy, how he became the package killer and how, we know how he got caught now.
Right.
But how did he end up in prison for life? We got to go through that murder as well.
Yeah.
So Gary Muehlberg was born in 1949. We don't have an exact birth date to do the birthday segment there.
Dang.
But he grew up in Bellefontaine Neighbors, which is a suburb city of St. Louis.
That's the name of the whole city, town, right? Bellefontaine Neighbors?
Yeah, that's the name.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
His father, William, had been a policeman until he left to join the military during World War II, earning a Purple Heart after being wounded in the Pacific Theater. He later served as a mayor of Bellefontaine Neighbors for one term from 1955 to 1957. So this guy, his dad was quite accomplished. A Purple Heart for fighting in World War II, and then becomes a mayor of the town that young Gary grew up in. Less is
what
known
happened with Gary,
right? Less is known about his mother, Palmyra. But in 1966, when Gary was 17, the family moved to Salina, Kansas, where his father took a job with an oil company. Like their father, Gary and his brother Ronald enlisted in the military during the Vietnam War, where Gary completed basic training in 1968, and it's not clear whether he ever was deployed overseas. That same year, his older brother, who was 21, died during the Battle of Mekong Delta. So his brother dies at war. His father was a decorated war veteran, but we're not sure exactly what Gary did. Did he fight in Vietnam? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I know he had a problem with authority, as most serial killers do.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if he was discharged for being.
I was about to say
hard to manage, and just not worth it.
He probably dipped after basic training, if I had my guess.
Around 1970, in June, he married for the first time, and 2 years into his first marriage is when we see the true side of Gary come out, the dark side. In February of 1972, Gary was charged with rape, kidnapping, and aggravated robbery after breaking into a house in Salina where an 18-year-old girl was home alone. She told the police that the 23-year-old Gary Muehlberg at the time held her at knife point, raped her, and then forced her to accompany him to a bank to withdraw $25. A judge ordered a mental competency examination be done on him prior to his trial, and he was convicted of the robbery charge but acquitted of rape. So he breaks into this 18-year-old girl's home, rapes her at knife point, and all they give him is a robbery charge.
They were probably unable to prove the rape or something. So
I don't get it. I still don't get it.
He's alone with her in the home, held her at gunpoint, and it's like some reason you have a hard time believing that he would rape her as well.
Yeah.
With a history of violence.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. After spending a month in prison, he was ordered to check into the treatment facility at the VA facility in Topeka, though it's not clear if he ever did check in. It's the 70s for you, right? They just
didn't care, apparently.
They didn't care about people's mental health.
Track of
They're
anything?
Just they'll figure it out.
Maybe he was in the military, maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he went and checked into rehab. Maybe he didn't.
Maybe he didn't. Who knows?
Not our problem. He'll probably move on to some other town and kill someone there. Then it won't be our problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So in January the following year in Salina, a 14-year-old was babysitting an even younger child when Muehlberg knocked on the door, asking if he could use the telephone. Brandishing a knife, he told her he was going to rob the house. He then tied and gagged the young girl, locked her in a bathroom, and began filling the bathtub with water, which is fucking creepy to think. What the hell was his plan here? Thankfully, the plan got thwarted because a car drove by and Muehlberg panicked. Thinking it was the girl's parents, he fled.
Whew.
But he's got her fucking hogtied, essentially, and filling up the bathtub. Was he going to, drown her?
Yeah, he was going to drown her.
I don't get it.
Most definitely he was.
He's clearly got off on torturing people, right? We see that later.
Yes, absolutely.
Some kind of a sexual sadist.
Yeah.
He was again charged with aggravated assault. At trial, Muehlberg's lawyer tried to claim that Muehlberg had gone insane at the time of the incident. His wife, his mother, and a psychiatrist all testified in his defense. You imagine? Testifying in your defense of your son who tied up a 14-year-old girl and was going to drown her in a bathtub?
So check this
out.
I'm
writing you off. If my son does this, fuck him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
not many things that would make me write off my child, but yeah, this is one of them.
That's one right there, yeah.
It's funny, earlier you said not much was known about his mother, and then here we go. What more do you need to know than this? Right. Sounds like a doting mother to me, right? If you're willing to testify in your son's defense on his second
Very good point. Yeah, he's already raped a woman at knife point. She had to have been made aware of the details of that, right? That he already got away with and only got assault for. And now he's tying up a 14-year-old girl and you're still testifying his defense? Yeah.
And you're his mother. There had to have been subtleties throughout his childhood. It was like, maybe he's not going to be quite right. Maybe Gary's not all good.
Was it Colehep? Todd Colehep? Was it him that his mother did the same thing?
Yes,
where
Todd Colehep.
All the way to the end, her boy
South
could
Carolina.
do no wrong.
Yeah. Yep. And you see what he did. I mean, God.
Similar shit, keeping women captive. And,
very similar
and torturing
shit.
them and all of that. Yeah.
Todd Kohlhepp had a little more like immediate rage, I guess, than Gary did. He was a little less planned.
Yeah.
Because remember, he also murdered those people in the motorcycle shop just for making fun of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like that dude. That always gets shoved under the rug because he was arrested with the girl in the trailer. But I mean, God, the massacre that happened in that motorcycle shop cannot be downplayed. I mean, that right there, that's as dangerous as you can get, man.
Yeah.
God, this fly. Jesus.
So after his wife, his mother, and a psychiatrist testified to his defense, the jury was not buying it. They still found Muehlberg guilty, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So later in 1973, Muehlberg's first wife would divorce him, and he had little contact with his first wife or son after that marriage thereafter. So he had a son with her, but after being arrested for this assault, his wife divorced him, and he basically moved on and didn't really play a role in their life anymore. Thankfully for that boy,
right?
You don't need this guy as a important role model for you.
Don't need that father figure.
No. So the same year, his mother and father moved back to St. Louis, where his father died of a heart attack soon after. And upon his release from prison, Muehlberg attended classes at Central Methodist College and Central Missouri State before moving to St. Louis in the late 1970s. He would marry again in 1980, and his second wife stayed with him for 6 years before divorcing him in 1986. And she has some interesting insights into the person that was Gary Muehlberg. She described him as an unremarkable husband who was just fine as a father, quote unquote, fine.
Andy. I mean, Lauren. Been talking to Andy too much lately.
Oh,
yeah,
just fine.
Yeah, he was just fine as a father.
Okay. And it tells you something because, like, if our wives were to, someone asked what kind of father we are, it would be a lot more than just fine. It'd be like,
yeah, I would hope so.
Exactly,
I would hope so. A little more enthused, a little more elaborate, especially in a court.
Yeah. She said that he always had problems with authority at work, and he always resented having to listen to a boss, which is quite typical of serial killers. Narcissism at play.
Right.
They think they know better than everyone. Who are you to tell me? I already know.
How dare you?
After the divorce, she says he wasn't particularly interested in spending time with his two children, who lived with her, but also frequently spent time with Muehlberg's mother. Oh, so great. She's going to... Oh, no.
Oh, great.
Oh, no. Now she's back.
Now she's got a chance to make two more.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Muehlberg himself was rarely a presence in their lives. Quote, I got away from him, she says, and I was glad I did after I found out what he was later on. Yeah, she later finds out he was a serial killer.
Right. Can you imagine, dude?
Right.
Imagine
you had
30 years
with this
later.
Person?
Yeah. 30 years later, you find out that the father of your children was a serial killer.
Yeah.
Before you even
got together.
You're
so thankful that you pulled the trigger and divorced him, but way back when, because who knows what would have happened otherwise.
But otherwise, he was fine.
Yeah, he was a fine father. God, that'd be so depressing if I heard my wife said that about me as a father.
Oh God,
he's fine.
I know.
I'd be like, fuck.
Right? Oh damn, I need to
reevaluate
my life.
Right. So Gary Muehlberg is believed to have abducted and killed his first victim in March of 1990, Robin Meehan, who we talked about earlier. He would go on to do this another 4 times over the next year, taking them back to his home to torture them before finally killing them. He lived in a rundown house in an out-of-the-way street in Bell Ridge. His home was filthy and in disarray, and it had a basement where he maintained a secret room with a false wall that was basically drywall that you could open in this room where it's believed that he either kept the bodies of the victims or maybe even kept them captive in there.
Yeah, probably a little both.
Yeah, given what we know, the basement became what was most certainly a torture chamber for the women he brought back from the South Side Stroll. In February of 1991, the same month that Muehlberg allegedly left Sandy Little's body beside the highway in O'Fallon, Missouri, a fire destroyed a portion of Muehlberg's home in Bell Ridge. And the timing of this was interesting. It occurred in the basement where Muehlberg almost certainly had been keeping the bodies of his victims, and in some cases for months, and it likely destroyed some important evidence. So yeah, I'm sure there was plenty of the DNA of these victims in their blood and who knows what.
Yes.
That was destroyed.
You know it. Blood, hair. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In those years, Muehlberg was a regular at a diner, a restaurant that was open 24 hours a day in Overland. It was apparently became a seedy hangout at night where all of these interesting characters would conglomerate. Quote, it was your friendly neighborhood coffee shop, says Larry Kennedy, a regular who got to know Muehlberg aside from the people who went there at night. So it became something different at night. Another regular from that time said that the diner became a host to a wild crowd where people would avoid telling each other their last names.
Oh, like Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It's like Waffle House after midnight.
Man, there's some serious scraps that go down at Waffle House at night.
Oh, hell yeah.
People getting hit with chairs, and it becomes like a WWE match in there.
Right. But if you go on like a Saturday morning at 10, it's the nicest crowd you've ever seen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's family environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't there like a Denny's thing, the slam breakfast or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Grand Slam breakfast. Yeah. The All-Star breakfast is at Waffle House, and then the Denny's Grand Slam, I think.
They really should buy the rights to that over at the Waffle House, and then you have the midnight Grand Slam where it's just like people getting hit with chairs and shit at your breakfast.
Sounds like a wrestling match.
Bring out the cage match.
Right.
So this diner that became something different at night, Muehlberg was, of course, a part of that crowd. Kennedy says, quote, "You'd see him there at 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and then he'd be there off and on the rest of the night. Muehlberg would apparently stalk his waitress girlfriend, often posting up at the diner for the majority of her shift," regulars say. Quote, "He was always staring down at somebody," one said of Gary, who stands at 6'3". Gary didn't like anybody who didn't respect the way he lived. So he was, once again, a narcissist that, thought his way was the only way, and anybody that didn't like him, he had a problem with them.
Absolutely. Took offense.
When someone that Gary didn't like came in to eat, he would wait outside by his van, peering until the person he disliked left. So, of course, he had a van as well.
How petty.
So he's just creeping in the parking lot next to his van, staring inside.
Right. Just standing next to his Astro van.
Right.
Glaring at people.
Honestly, it's kind of a bitch move, though. Like, to me, that would make me feel powerful. If I go inside and I can hang out as long as I want and you're not going to come in until I leave.
Yeah. I'd be like, this is actually better for me.
Right. This works for me.
Yeah.
You can stand out there and peer in the darkness, whatever.
Yeah. You stand out there in the cold. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. I'll eat my eggs. Fuck you.
Right.
So a woman named Deborah Layton, who frequented and later worked at the diner, said, quote, "Gary Muehlberg was crazy. He was always bringing women to his house. He was a very bizarre man. He had bizarre ideas, and he was dirty, like he never cleaned himself."
Quote, now that's not as typical with serial killers. Usually they try to blend in and not draw so much attention to themselves. They're not. I mean, I guess there are some who spend a lot of time on the road and get kind of nasty.
Yep.
Like I imagine William Bonin and Vernon Butts probably weren't the most hygienic pair there.
Yeah, I don't think most of our serial killers we've done had great hygiene. I don't think they were rocking "Oh My Guy" in their pits.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But I mean, like Bundy was probably relatively clean. It was kind of it was part of the allure, right?
Yeah.
You had to be somewhat clean or whatnot. And same way with like Gacy. Gacy was always clean cut. Probably showered because he had to present himself in front of people in the cities and whatnot.
Different types of killers, though. This guy,
no doubt, because then you have the dirty, grungy. There's plenty of those too. Richard Ramirez, nasty.
Oh yeah,
bad hygiene, never brushed his teeth.
Yeah, Cole Hepp, I think probably stunk too.
Oh yeah,
this guy reminds me very much of him.
He just lives so far out in the woods too.
Yeah,
it's like after a while, when you have 20 acres to exist on, like you don't really give a shit anymore. Right. I think you live out in backwoods places too.
Yeah, in particular these killers we've covered that would bring back victims and like basically have their bodies in their home for a while and those sort of things. They're not the cleanest type, obviously. If you're willing to live with a corpse.
Exactly. Reminds me of the Picton brothers. Yeah. Robert Picton and his brother. Yeah. Oh, they're so
There's
gross.
Not enough "Oh My Guy." I mean, this stuff works, but Jesus,
you'd have to dump it. You'd have to dump it on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another quote, he kind of thought he was it, but no one really wanted to do anything with him. From what I learned later, he was picking up waitresses from Waffle Houses and places like that. So,
right, makes sense.
Taking the low-hanging fruit, I guess. Both Layton and the brother of a woman Muehlberg dated at the time say that Muehlberg often bragged about being an officer in the Freemasons, and he had a highly inflated sense of self-importance. Quote, he always talked about what secret organization it was and that he helped children so nobody would ever investigate the Masons.
Dude, we need to investigate the Masons.
Let's not go down that road. I think that's
is that a bad idea?
Yeah, it's a bad idea. They seem like they have a lot of time on their hands to go after a podcast.
They really do.
If we went after them.
And they are really proud. Masons are proud people. Yeah. They are proud peeps.
That's not a fight I'm willing to fight. Let's let them be.
There's too many of them? Is that what you're worried about?
I think we should let DB be and let the Masons be.
Let the Masons be.
Yeah.
Right. All they're doing is helping burn children, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, another quote, he was more narcissistic than he was anything. Muehlberg had previously worked in construction, but in 1993, the 43-year-old was telling others that he was in bad health, and instead of manual labor, he sold marijuana and dabbled in buying and selling used cars, something we briefly mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, creepers? Let's talk about this week's sponsor, Everlywell. A change in season means longer days, better outdoor activities, and more ways to get healthier, including checking in on your health and wellness. With Everlywell, you can take action today by taking one of their at-home lab tests or by adding their vitamins and supplements into your daily routine. Everlywell is digital healthcare designed for you, all at an affordable and transparent price. With over 30 at-home lab tests, you'll be able to choose the test that makes the most sense for you and get the answers you need, like the Women's Health Test or Food Sensitivity Test. Everlywell also has high-quality vitamins and supplements to support your overall health. Choose from a variety of options, including vitamin D3 and omega-3 fish oil. So here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything you need in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the included prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Your physician-reviewed results get sent to your phone or device in days. And you can share the results with your primary care physician to help guide next steps. If you order vitamins and supplements, you can start adding them to your daily routine right away. It's so simple. Over 1 million people have trusted Everlywell to support their health and wellness goals, and you should too. My wife and I both took the food sensitivity test. It was super easy and quick, and we found out a lot of things about our genetics. Apparently, I am quite sensitive to histamines, and my wife is very sensitive to gluten. So we've changed our diets accordingly and feel so much better on a daily basis. I also received some vitamin D3 from Everlywell and added that to my daily regimen and noticed that I would have some occasional brain fog prior, and this seemed to clear that up. For listeners of the show, Everlywell is offering a special discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/creeper. That's everlywell.com/creeper for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/creeper. This guy Leighton said that in the early 90s, Muehlberg tried to recruit her husband into his burgeoning marijuana business. Muehlberg even showed her husband where he kept his stash, so he took him to that basement where that false wall was. Quote, he took him over to the house and showed him a false wall in the basement and said, I got all these bricks of weed. Do you want to help me get rid of them? You know he didn't get those, like, I don't know if it's a legal way to buy a bunch of bricks of weed, but, like, he definitely stole these.
Right.
There's no
you
fucking chance. He bought them at a, and then was going to upcharge or whatever and do it the right way.
Well, you don't never know. He could have stole a car, traded the car for him. I mean, this guy, he wasn't above doing shit like that. No, I doubt that he paid for them all up front from a dealer or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, either way, I'm sure he got him in some nefarious way. Or maybe he found a dealer and killed his ass.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably something along those lines. He just didn't seem like he was willing to pay anybody for anything because he thought he was so much better than everyone.
Absolutely.
We see that with the way this car deal goes down. So, quote, he was the type of guy who was always sniffing around, trying to make a quick buck, says another diner regular at the time whose name asked to not be used. But in February of 1993, Muehlberg spread word around the diner that he was trying to offload a 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood. I got to see what a 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood looks like.
I know, right? Probably a pretty nice car. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I got to see this too. No, it looks like your grandpa's car, basically.
You
grew up in the
those.
90s, this is the car your grandfather drove right here.
You've seen this shit
It
a
smelled
lot.
like shoe leather and aftershave inside for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, these cars are too popular.
Yeah.
They were too popular. You don't see them on the road anymore. So
looks like a comfortable ride, though. Probably just soaked up the
Well, it's a
speed
caddy,
bumps
bro. That's the one thing they're good at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like riding on a magic carpet. I'm sure you're just like...
Yep. God forbid you get in an accident against one of these tanks, too.
I know, right?
All right, so he puts out word that he's trying to sell this 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood, and a guy named Kenneth Doc Atchison, another regular at the diner, was interested in purchasing the car. So on February 8th, Atchison told Kennedy and Leighton that he was going over to Muehlberg's house with $6,000 to buy the car, and these two regulars that they were knew what kind of guy that Gary Muehlberg was. They tried to warn him about him going over there alone with that $6,000.
Yeah.
As they knew Muehlberg had always been a menace and was, involved in large-scale drug dealing, and he's a career criminal. You're just gonna go over to this scumbag's house with $6,000 in cash alone and expect this to go well?
You shouldn't even do that today.
No,
regardless of
Meet
what
in a
you're
public
doing,
place. Don't go to
if you're
someone's
taking
house like that.
thousands of dollars to go make a deal, especially for a car, always take someone with you.
Yeah, and go to a public location.
Always meet in a public location. Yeah. This was just an absurd risk, honestly.
But Atchison, who was 57 at the time, waved his friends off and headed over to Muehlberg's house alone. And, of course, he was never seen alive again. Muehlberg, however, showed back up at the diner that same night, showing off a stack of newly acquired cash.
Oh, look at that. Wonder where he got that from.
It reminds me of Goodfellas when they do the big heist and the one dumbass shows up with a pink Cadillac and his wife's got a new fur coat and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And De Niro's losing his shit like, don't buy anything, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, don't buy.
This guy,
like
everyone knows this dude went to Muehlberg's house with $6,000 and now all of a sudden the guy's gone and he show up with cash. Like, come on. Of course he got caught. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Seriously. It reminds me of Masterminds, man. Remember I told you about that story that took place here in North Carolina where those people, they robbed the Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And then they immediately take the money and go buy they go buy like a mansion, and then they buy new cars. They're buying like all new clothes. They're all in matching, like, like remember when like those sweatsuits were popular?
Yeah, the velvet.
Yeah, they were like wearing all matching those.
Just draped in velvet.
They're riding around on like brand new 4-wheelers and dirt bikes around their like rich neighborhood and shit. Like that shit didn't last long. Obviously,
I mean, even if the law enforcement doesn't come knocking, IRS is definitely coming for your ass at the very least.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. So Atchison, the victim in this, his family filed a missing persons report, and Muehlberg was immediately a suspect, and police wanted to search his home. In the following days, according to a 1993 police report, Muehlberg contacted at least 2 people and asked them to construct a plywood box made to his specifications.
Yeah, it's not suspicious at all.
Right. Yeah, I need it about the size of a full-grown man. That's the box size. I mean, it's not for that.
Long,
it's not
maybe,
for that, but
right.
It theoretically should be able to fit a full-grown man in it. Okay.
Right. I need it for equipment.
Right. Yeah. Investigators would later learn that Muehlberg used the makeshift box to store Atchison's body in it.
No shit.
Muehlberg remained in the house for a week with Atchison's dead body in the makeshift coffin in the basement. And according to another report from 1993, he then fled to Illinois, telling a friend that if police searched the basement, he would be locked up the rest of his natural-born days.
Oh. Well, why didn't you get rid of the box?
He was trying to. I mean, it's not so easy to get rid of you need help getting a full-grown man in a fucking makeshift coffin out of your basement. You can't just fucking pick it up, throw it on your shoulder.
That's true. That's very true. And also
he kind of did himself in with this whole box thing. It's easier to drag a body out yourself than it is like once you got it inside this box.
Right. Exactly. But what we'll find out too is that the body didn't even fit in the box correctly either. It's like, wait, you had this specially made. Like you didn't measure how tall this guy is?
Right.
Like, why did he not fit in the box? I have so many questions for him here.
Yeah,
maybe the guy was like, well.
I don't think he hired like the highest quality carpenter either. It's probably some fucking crackhead.
Well, they said it was, the police described it as a crude coffin. So I'm sure it was, rough cut, just hammered together.
It was made out of pallets, bro. Some wood pallets.
Yeah, probably.
Guaranteed.
Maybe some old pine wood or some shit.
Right, some balsa wood.
Yeah.
So from Illinois, he called friends offering them money to go to his house and pretend to do lawn work while checking to see if the police were surveilling his premises. He then offered one man, Jerry Akers, $20,000 to move the box containing Atchison's body out of the basement.
Jesus, $20,000, bro. I'd have to think about it.
He ain't going to pay him. He doesn't have $20K, first of all.
That's true.
And once the guy gets the body out of there, what do you think he's going to show up and promptly pay the guy in cash? Like, fuck no.
No, I'd need that up front.
Yeah.
I'd need that up front.
100%. Wisely, Akers declined, and he asked another man to go let his dog out. And while he was at it, moved the box containing the body in the basement
why are you letting the dog out? Could you go ahead and move that giant box in the corner too?
The bloody, stinky, rotten corpse box in the basement. Just one more. How do you think you pitched this? Hey, can you go let my dogs out, man? Like they've been locked up for a while. They need to go. I'm sure. Sure, man. Oh, one more thing. Just one little favor. There's a corpse in the basement. It's in a box. His feet are sticking out of the box. Can you just get that out too for me?
Right.
Thanks, man.
Just run that by your closest riverbank or whatever.
Exactly.
Toss that in there for me. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have an incinerator, that'll work too.
Right. I'll bring you a little extra weed by later. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So, of course, Gary would be arrested 1 month later on March 27th, 1993. They had endless witnesses basically saying, this guy's telling me he's got a body in his basement.
He did
and he wants it moved out. Yeah. And he's on the run. So, yeah. The deputy, it's really truly amazing that he got away with murdering five plus women for 30 years when you see how poorly he hid this crime here. But once you said, like you said, he was targeting sex workers that worked in the red light district. And
yes, sir.
Unfortunately,
he targeted the wrong person. He targeted someone who had connections to society, someone a lot of people cared about, someone who was expected to be somewhere.
I was going to say, part of the problem is like we a lot of times give law enforcement a lot of flack because it seems like they don't investigate these as hard, but also it's a much tougher investigation because where do you start? The basic things about a homicide investigation is you start within their circle and then you work your way outward.
Yeah.
You start with people they know, but when you're down in the red light district and anybody could just pull up that doesn't know you, doesn't know the victim, and then they just take them away. Where do you start with something like that,
Exactly.
It's tough, especially in the 90s with a lack of surveillance cameras everywhere and GPS and things like that. Nobody had cell phones yet. Like, it's just, where do you start?
And in those districts, they don't want cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, the businesses don't want cameras. Why would they put them up on the outside? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want their own activity getting recorded.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and at nighttime in the 90s, even if they did have a security camera, I mean, we see the quality of these fucking security cameras till this day. They're still grainy in 2022.
They still garbage.
What do you think
I don't
they look
get
like
that.
in 91? What do you think they look like? Fuck. Like an 8-bit video game, basically, from the 90s.
I got
like Mario.
Right, I got a 4K camera in my pocket, but we can't get some decent security cameras out here nowadays. It's crazy, man. Don't make any sense.
Yeah. So the deputy from the Wayne County Sheriff's Department in Illinois had no idea he had handcuffed a serial killer when he finally brought in Gary Milberg. He had already killed 5 women at this point, at least, if not more. And during an interrogation in St. Louis, Milberg admitted to police that Atchison was dead in his basement, though he swore he hadn't killed him. Of course not. He's just storing the body for the real killer.
Right.
It's just that kind of guy he is. He's that cool. He began to cooperate with law enforcement, but only because he was trying to pin the murder on his boss at the construction company. Milberg insisted that he was being framed, that his boss apparently killed this guy and then put him in Milberg's basement because he hated him that much. When you could just maybe fire the guy, you go the normal routine when you don't like your employee.
Right. Why did he pick his boss, man? Because he has a problem with authority.
Exactly.
He's like, fuck that guy. He made
kill
me
2 birds with 1 stone. Get off for murder and lock up his boss, and then he's the boss.
He made me stay 30 minutes after.
Now.
That's right.
He thinks he's just going to show up to work on Monday. His boss gets hauled away, and he takes over the job site. That's his sick mind. What he thinks is going to happen.
His narcissistic world that he lives in. He's just like, this is going to be great. 2 birds, 1 stone. They'll never get me.
100%. So prior to searching his home, Milberg told detectives that he had built a secret room, quote unquote, in the northwest corner of his basement. He advised that entry to the room would be gained by pushing a drywall panel just inside the door leading to the basement. I think the whole idea of having a secret room in your basement is that so that people don't know about it, but this guy can't fucking help but tell everyone about his secret room. He's got to tell everybody, right? He's got to show everyone. What's the point at that point?
Pride.
I'm having a secret room. If I have a secret room, not even my wife's going to know about it. My kids, nobody's going to know but me.
Right? It's
so
a
I can
secret
do whatever the hell
room.
I want in there. It's not going to be any serial killer fun stuff. It's probably just going to be some masturbation or something like that.
But either way, it's a secret room.
Yes.
Ah, damn.
Just a chair with tissues and lotion. It's probably what mine would be.
And a flat screen on the bottom.
Well, probably some old nudie mags, man. Let's keep it old school.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're keeping it old school. It's like a little peep show in there.
Untraceable.
Yeah, there you go.
So detectives searching the premises in 1993 found it in total disarray. In the basement's quote-unquote secret room, they found Atchison dead, of course, the body, entombed in a hastily constructed wooden box. Quote, a crude coffin. Say that 3 times fast.
Right.
Is how police later described it. They couldn't get his whole body in there. His feet were sticking out, for God's sakes.
Right.
I mean, this is truly like the Three Stooges murdered somebody.
He just
like
did
him
not
and his
give
friends.
a shit. But I mean, look how long he had gotten away with killing people, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've talked about this so many times. They get really comfortable, and they're already narcissists. They already think they're
smarter than everyone else. But he picked a guy that he was connected to, a guy that people knew was going to his house to purchase a car. It's different than just picking up a girl in the red light district and then driving away, and no one knows where you're headed, who you are, any of that.
Right.
And you're probably, like we mentioned earlier, driving a stolen car to begin with, so...
yeah. Well, he doesn't have anything now, right? He's divorced. He doesn't have his kids in his life. He hates his fucking job. He hates his boss.
Yeah.
I mean, $6,000 in 1990.
It's a lot of money.
That'll last you a long time, man. You probably live 6 months on that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of late night diner beers.
Yeah, exactly.
quote, this guy must have been pretty tough, old guy, because he had a rope around his neck, he'd been stabbed, he'd been shot, and they tried to kill him 3 different ways. Jesus. Muehlberg had also secured Atchison's hands with a pair of handcuffs. The car Muehlberg had claimed to want to sell to Atchison turned out to be stolen, so the whole thing was a sham to begin with.
There you go.
Yeah, the car couldn't have even been legally sold. He didn't have the title to it.
Didn't have the title.
Yeah.
Right.
After killing the prospective buyer and taking his $6,000 cash, Muehlberg sold it to his boss at the construction company. Oh, my God. So he did get back at his old boss, I suppose.
Fucked his boss
I don't
over.
think the boss would get any of that money back.
That's all he really wanted.
You buy a stolen car and you don't have the title. That's on you, bro.
So now he's made $12,000 on this car.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if he sold it for $6 to the boss. He probably gave him a discount thing, you know.
Oh, maybe.
Who knows? But during Muehlberg's 1995 trial, the defense claimed that he had been framed by his boss. Quote, or the jury didn't buy the implausible story, sentencing Muehlberg to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Yeah, that's hard to believe, that one. You know, where's your evidence that your boss framed you and put this body in your basement?
He just thought he was going to be charismatic enough to just woo them with that statement.
Yeah.
So
the prosecutor in this trial, Doug Seidel, who put Muehlberg in prison in 1995, said we had, quote, no information tying him to other crimes. So they just thought this guy was, you know,
at the time they had no information.
Yeah, they had no idea they were locking away a serial killer that targeted sex workers. They just thought this guy ripped this guy off, killed him, yada yada.
Right.
And
right.
he'd go on to live in prison for the next couple decades with no one knowing he was the package killer. So despite his life sentence, go ahead.
He didn't even plead guilty to killing Atchison.
Right.
Right?
No,
he never admitted to anything.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he still denied that, said he was framed, yada yada.
It's absurd.
Despite his life sentence for Atchison's murder, Muehlberg refused to concede his guilt, penning the lengthy long-shot legal motions appealing his conviction on the grounds that his trial had been unfair, the jury biased on his defense inadequate. So it's always, with these guys, it's always everyone else's fault, right? He's the victim
absolutely.
here. He's
absolutely.
the victim. By 1999, his options for appeal had been exhausted, and Muehlberg would be spending the rest of his life in prison. According to a source familiar with the correctional center, Muehlberg had been and has been still to this day a, quote, model inmate who keeps to himself and doesn't give the staff any problems. That's so common now as well, right? With serial killers, isn't it like where they go to prison and all of a sudden they're model inmates? Like,
well, of course.
Like, look at Gacy was like the everyone's favorite cook in prison and like performer, and everyone loved him in prison. You know, this dude fucking like strangled like 30 boys. Like, he was an absolute animal, a monster.
Well, yeah, but now they're in there among other animals. What the fuck they gonna do? Try something, bro. Try something.
A lot of the guys he was with were probably got fucking locked away for having pot on them 3 times or something like that.
That's true. That's true. But even though those guys that spend long sentences in there, they might have went in for weed, but they're animals by a few years later. They don't have any choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've definitely become different people if we got locked in a high security prison.
Absolutely. You have to.
Dangerous guys.
Your frame of mind has to change, your daily activities, your habits, everything. Yeah. Everything's different.
So Gary Muehlberg had been in prison for 29 years when this summer, Jody Weber, 22-year veteran, 22 years old, finally got a hit from CODIS, linking Muehlberg to the package murders. So the DNA finally came along, the technology far enough that they could do samples from tiny little, pieces of DNA that were left on the clothing of these victims.
Right.
She said that because Muehlberg is a prison inmate, his DNA was in the FBI's combined DNA index system, CODIS, waiting for her to connect it to the murders of Meehan, Pruitt, and Little. And in July, Sandy Little's son, Chris Day Jr., so one of the victims, Sandy Little, she had a baby at the time, a little baby boy, who's now a man, and she asked him to come in to the O'Fallon police station, where Weber swabbed his nose for DNA sample and was able to connect that as well, just strengthening the case. And by summer, police sources say that they had 4 pieces of physical evidence from 3 victims that connected back to Muehlberg, and Weber would pay him a visit in Potosi Correctional Facility. And this is a little bit like, what's that show we love on Netflix? Mindhunter. It's a little bit like that.
Yes.
She goes and sits down and talks to him and gets a relationship with him. and helps to get him to confess to these murders. Quote, "He was surprised to see us after 32 years, Weber says of their first meeting. Muehlberg was not in good health, which meant that Weber had to act quickly or risk the man taking the secrets with him to the grave. Quote, I have to be friends with him, she said. Friends is too strong of a word. I have to be open to what he says, whether I like it or not. So she's trying to get him to trust her. And
you know what just occurred to me? You know how you said he's not in good health? Well, he wasn't in good health 30 years ago either. So it's like...
Yeah, that's what he was telling his friends then, right? That's why he wasn't working at the time and he was only selling weed. Yeah, you're right. He's definitely full of shit.
He's just a woe is me. Oh, I'm not in good health. Blah, blah, blah. Probably just got really shitty habits.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Muehlberg was initially hesitant to discuss his heinous crimes. Quote, it was hard for him to talk about it, she says, describing him as remorseful. However, she developed a rapport with Muehlberg, and the second time she interviewed him, he opened up. She says he described the details of all 3 gruesome murders, giving her a confession. It almost seemed to give him relief. Quote, he wanted to shake my hand at the end of the interview. She said she had no choice but to extend her hand as well. It was in everyone's interest that Muehlberg remained willing to keep talking. She'd soon find out that he had even more to tell. On August 5th, friends and relatives of Robin Meehan, Brendan Pruitt, and Sandy Little gathered at a nondescript municipal courtroom in O'Fallon to find out who had killed their loved one 32 years ago. And she has this whole conference where she has them discuss their family members that they lost so many years ago, and then she reveals the identity of this monster that had killed them.
Yeah.
And about 3 weeks after meeting with the families, Weber went to interview Muehlberg for a third time. He didn't have much more to say to her, but then a few days later, Weber got a letter from Muehlberg, and the details are still scant about Muehlberg's letter, but in it, he confessed to 2 more murders, both women. 3 months after Meehan's murder, 40-year-old Donna Rittmeyer was out working the stroll with her friends, so that same stretch of road,
right,
in downtown St. Louis, and basically became another victim of his. Rittmeyer gave her friend a business card, and according to police reports, said that nothing ever happened to her, but Leach should tell people about this guy. The name on the card was Frank, whom Rittmeyer had dated a few times. She was afraid of him because he seemed obsessed with her, stalking her while she was working. Did he make up fake business cards to give to people to like put them off his scent or something?
Apparently. I know, right?
Yeah. So apparently her friend, the friend of the victim here, Leach, went to a nearby KFC for a soda. When she came out, Rittmeyer, her friend, was gone. And hours went by without Rittmeyer returning. And the next morning, her friend Leach would report her missing. 8 days later, Rittmeyer's body was found in a brown Rubbermaid trash bin along the intersection of South Broadway and Gasconade Street, 7 blocks south of the Stroll. And this apparently is another victim of his. Yeah.
And he ends up placing her, I think, in a bin that he got from some hardware store.
Yeah. So police had investigated Rittmeyer's death in connection to the package killer, but had never had any definitive proof until Muehlberg's written confession. And he said that there was a 5th victim as well, a woman he killed in early 1991. But I think that she remained a Jane Doe.
Because he couldn't remember her name either.
He couldn't remember her name, And I don't know if they ever found the body or what, but all you can say is that he left her body in a metal container in a self-service car wash. So who knows what happened with that?
Oh my God!
But Jody Weber,
self-service car wash, those probably get dumped all the time too.
Yeah. So Jody is still at this point, like we said, this is fresh breaking stuff just earlier this year and up until August. And so she's still now pouring through missing persons reports from that time frame and trying to maintain a relationship with Gary Muehlberg so that, if she finds some more potential like Jane Does or some victims that their cases are cold from the area at the time, she can ask him about it and maybe get more closure for these families. Because he probably killed more than 5 women. I mean, it's rare that they take a 30-year layoff like that and they just don't kill at all. Granted, he's been in prison for 20-something years. He's been in prison since 93. So, but I just feel like he was, at the time, he was killing every 2-3 months. And from 91 until 93, you're telling me he didn't kill anybody until he killed that guy over the car deal?
Right.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
Me too. Especially if this is how he's getting off. And then most of his victims were women. Yeah. The only reason he killed that guy was for financial gain. It was just a quick buck to be made.
Yep.
He thought, well, he's a loner. Nobody will care.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really fucked up. And it sucks though to be this investigator, Jody Weber, and have to maintain a friendship with this person.
Yeah,
you know, that's got to be a tough part of the job.
The good that you're doing, you know.
I know. It's just tough. It's tough. It's like playing a creepy role or something, like when you're acting. You know what I'm saying? Like when you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure. It just it kind of rubs off on you a little bit. You're like, ugh, man.
That's life. I mean, how many people have to deal with assholes in customer service in a job where you do customer service, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't want to."
Yeah,
be this
but I mean, some Karen who feels like she was overcharged is a totally different, totally different story than a serial killer.
You also get a much greater reward for dealing with the serial killer than you do for dealing with this Karen. You get to keep your fucking mediocre paying job.
Right. I agree. Well, don't keep your mediocre deodorant, though.
I was going to say, do you also agree that you know, Oh My Guy is far beyond mediocre deodorant and all natural for your armpits?
I 100% trade in your mediocre deodorant for some real deodorant from Oh My Gaia.
Real deal.
That's right, because Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while still maintaining effectiveness. And at Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients, guys. And there's tons of scents to choose from vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, sweet pea, sailor, barbershop, pear, bergamot, amber. And we have our very own scent, True Crime Pine, a great unisex scent, which a lot of these scents are. If you don't know where to start, True Crime Pine is a great place. And because you're True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the word creeper for 15% off your order. That's creeper, CREEPER. And you can use that code at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram or ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com. Guys, for all natural deodorant. And again, hey, it's beard growing season, right? It's fall. Everybody's no shave November's coming up. You want to keep that beard smelling and feeling good. Check out your Oh My Gaia beard oil, and you can get it in whatever scent you already like.
Yep.
So there you go, guys.
Check it out. Support that great company that we've been working with for years, as well as Tonic CBD. Tonic's farm-to-bottle CBD plus botanical blends are uniquely formulated to provide targeted support where you need it most. Each and every high-quality ingredient is thoughtfully selected for its ability to support and enhance the benefits of CBD, resulting in a more effective, well-rounded, and consistent wellness solution for your mind and body. They have a bunch of different blends, just like Oh My Guy has a bunch of different scents. Chill Tonic has been my favorite to take at night before bed to help me get a good night's sleep and reduce anxiety. It has ashwagandha, lemon balm, and passion flower to deliver a super calming effect. And it also has black seed oil in some of their blends, which is a powerful antioxidant. It's also easy to verify the quality of their products. When you get their product, the packaging has a container that you tap your phone on, and it gives you third-party lab reports, product information, details about their farm, and helpful blog posts to provide you with CBD education. So with values rooted in quality, integrity, and sustainability, Tonic is committed to creating plant-based wellness products that are good for you, good for the people and the planet. Visit tonicvibes.com to learn more and use code word CREEPER to get 20% off your order. That's tonicvibes.com, code word CREEPER for 20% off.
There you go, guys.
Products to live with, man. We use these products every day, both of us, both
Absolutely.
Tonic CBD and Oh My Gaia. It's part of our daily routine, as it should be yours.
Absolutely.
Also, part of your daily routine should be listening to our extra content over on patreon.com/truecrimeguys. $2 a month gets you access to our once a month premium Patreon only episode. Lots of those 3+ hours. They're the heavy hitters like Gacy that we mentioned earlier. And our first 50 episodes are in there in the vault. You can only get to them through Patreon, $2 a month or $5 a month. You get even more content like Just the Banter, a show where me and Michael shoot the shit.
Right.
And all of Michael's other shows, Sandu Stories, all of that stuff available on the $5 tier. You get it all.
Strange Shorts every single Monday.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a lot going on Patreon, guys.
You can pay up front for a year as well. You can pay $21 for the $2 tier for a year, and you're done. It's not hitting your card every month. Or you can pay $54 for the year for the $5 tier and just be done for a whole year.
Exactly. You get a 10% discount.
Yep. Yeah, you actually save money by doing that. So
that's right.
Is that it?
All right, man. I think that's it, man. We will have new patches available very soon, guys. Keep your ear to the ground on that. Check out our social media at True Crime Guys, wherever you are. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So be on the lookout for those posts. There'll be new limited edition True Crime Guys patches coming out very soon.
All right. I love it. All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Keep creeping.
Keep creeping, guys.
True Crime Guys. In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us because you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder, get murder, get murder. True Crime Guys. In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us because you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder charming.
From the minds of True Crime Guys, come
TCG Weekly. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to check out all the other programs on the TCG network. Every Wednesday, a new episode of True Crime Guys proper, Strange and Unexplained on Mondays, and Full House Fantasy Football on Fridays to start your weekend. And if those aren't enough, head on over to our Patreon account, where you can have access to hundreds of hours of content, including older episodes and other Patreon exclusives like Strange Shorts, Sandu Stories, Higher Thoughts, and the 5-Minute Murder Show. But until next time, guys, keep creeping. Hey, how do you shut this thing off? Over? You're lucky I'm not one.